In Texas, two of the state's top Republicans have been engaged in a staring contest this primary season. However, they have found themselves in agreement with each other on a major national security issue. Paxton, the state's attorney general, and Senator Cornyn have been rivals in the race for the Senate nomination. Despite their rivalry, however, they have found common ground in their support for President Donald Trump's decision to strike Iran, an operation codenamed Epic Fury. The Texas primary contest has received a lot of attention in the state. There are a number of candidates in the contest, with Representative Wesley Hunt among them. However, the focus of the contest has been between Paxton and Cornyn. As the March 3 primary approaches, the two have been touting their loyalty to Trump and their support for his policies. This includes his decision to strike Iran, which has been a subject of debate in the country. Throughout their intense battle, Paxton and Cornyn have not often agreed on anything. Their debates have been marked by tension and have been characterized by differences in their messages. However, in the matter of Operation Epic Fury, Paxton and Cornyn have managed to find common ground. Both have referred to the president's move as justified and necessary. This shows that they are on the same page in their dedication to the country's safety. When asked about his views on the matter outside his last campaign rally before the election, Paxton said to Fox News Digital that he thought the president did the right thing in ordering the strikes. When asked about the voter concern over foreign wars, Paxton said that no one wants foreign wars, but that this situation calls for us to take action. Paxton said that when a country is pursuing nuclear weapons, using nuclear weapons, and has 40 or 50 years of terrorist activity, the situation cannot be swept under the rug anymore. He said that if the situation were to continue, the consequences could come to America itself. Senator Cornyn supported the strikes and revealed more about the events that took place to authorize the strikes. General Dan Kane, who chairs the Joint Chiefs of Staff, claimed that the president authorized Operation Epic Fury while he was on his way to Corpus Christi, Texas, to promote his energy plan. The senator, along with other Texas lawmakers, was on Air Force One with the president. When he was asked if he knew about the plan while he was on the flight, he referred to the president as a very cool customer. He claimed that the president asked everyone in the cabin if they supported the strikes against Iran, to which all the members of Congress, including himself, raised their hands, acknowledging that it was the president's sole responsibility to make the decision to authorize war, as he is the president. However, in Washington, the situation is more complex, with lawmakers of different parties discussing the power of the president in the region, urging a vote to limit the president's power in this case, but Paxton and Cornyn have shown their willingness to discuss it. In the days leading up to the election, Iran and Operation Epic Fury have been a major factor in the campaign, especially because the Republican nomination is up for grabs, and the support of the president is crucial in any campaign. The race between Paxton and Cornyn is intense, but their support of the president's decision to strike Iran is a notable similarity in their campaigns. In their efforts to win the Republican nomination, both Ken Paxton and John Cornyn have been using their support of Operation Epic Fury in their campaigns to sway Republican voters in the upcoming election. Despite their differences on many issues, their support of the president's decision to authorize the strikes against Iran has been similar, especially as the debate in D.C. continues to heat up. Paxton, in the final stretch leading up to the March 3rd primary, continued to emphasize his stance on the matter, stating that his support for the plan is based on a threat that he believes is persistent and growing in nature. Paxton explained that in general, voters do not want to see the United States involved in any foreign wars, but in the case of Iran, action was necessary. In Paxton's view, the situation in Iran is one in which a country wants to move forward with building nuclear weapons, indicating that it is willing to use them, and it has a history of terrorism that stretches over 4 or 5 decades. Paxton emphasized that in making the move, he believed that it was a preemptive action, one in which a threat was being addressed before it had a chance to bite the United States. He emphasized that if action was not taken, it would eventually mean that United States interests would find themselves in the crosshairs. Senator Cornyn provided his own interpretation of the president's decision based on his own personal experience on Air Force One. General Dan Kane, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, said that President Trump made the decision to launch Operation Epic Fury during his flight to Corpus Christi, Texas, where he was to promote his energy plan. Senator Cornyn and other Texas politicians accompanied the president on this flight. According to Senator Cornyn, the president was very composed and measured in his actions. He said that the president asked everyone in the cabin if they wanted to bomb Iran, and the politicians in Congress raised their hands, fully understanding the importance of the decision. They knew the gravity of the decision and agreed among themselves that only the president, as the commander-in-chief, was in a position to make the final decision. This story puts Senator Cornyn in the middle of the decision-making process and reiterates his support for the president. As Senator Cornyn contests in the primaries, he emphasizes his long association with the president and his support for his policies. As he recounts his involvement in the decision to launch Operation Epic Fury, Cornyn emphasizes his support for the president's decision. The debate on the strikes, however, is no longer limited to the Lone Star State. In Washington, D.C., politicians from both parties are considering the implications of the strike. There are some members of Congress who are advocating for a vote to limit the president's war powers in the region. This debate has been ongoing about who should make the decisions regarding the military, the executive branch, or Congress. Despite the advocacy for a vote, however, Paxton and Cornyn are still open to discussing the matter. Although they are firm on the issue of the strikes, the two candidates are willing to discuss the matter. This despite the fact that the politicians on the issue of the strikes have publicly supported the decision of the president to strike Iran, unlike some members of Congress. Senator Cornyn, for instance, was adamant that the decision to strike Iran was not a difficult one. He pointed out that the question to ask was who was on the side of American peace and security, and who was on the side of a nuclear Iran. He was therefore connecting the decision to strike Iran to the issue of the security of the United States.
It is, however, not clear how long the United States will remain in the region. In a video message, the president announced that the U.S. will remain in the region until all the objectives are met. He, however, later announced that the strike might take 4 weeks or less. This, therefore, becomes another issue that politicians are debating. Despite the fact that the primary elections are nearing, Paxton and Cornyn are still campaigning for the Republican ticket. However, on the issue of the strike on Iran, the two politicians are on the same side. This despite the fact that the politicians have had some sharp disagreements throughout the campaigns.